Laura, would you like to read the questions we received?
Absolutely. So this is from Arthur's Cow on YouTube. Saying, Kia ora, Robin and Laura. I am taking the family to Stewart Island just after Christmas and would love to get your thoughts on what to do with kids there. They are 8 and 10 years old and don't mind the outdoors at all. Thanks for all you do. Cheers.
All right, so we're going to be talking about things to do with kids on Stewart Island. And on nzpocketguide.com, there is a beautiful article.
Whoops.
Oh, I click on an ad.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, on nzpocketguide.com right here, there is an article about 10 things to do with kids in Stewart Island. We both really do love Stewart Island, and there is a ton of things to do, especially if your kids are kind of, do like the outdoors, which it looks like Arthur's Calves kids. You got to love YouTube's nicknames.
His calves.
Arthur's Calves do like. So let's go over, maybe 6 or 7 of our favorite things to do with kids in Stewart Island, starting with checking out the birds on Ulva Island.
Oh, nice. So once you've made the journey to Stewart Island, there's an extra journey that's well worth taking from Stewart Island, which is just a 5-minute boat ride to Ulva Island. And Ulva Island is a protected sanctuary for bird life. It doesn't have any predators on there, which means that the native New Zealand bird life can thrive there, and it really does thrive there. The whole island itself is like alive with bird song, and you'll see lots of different types of bird, including, if you're really lucky, a kiwi bird, because in Stewart Island it's one of the only places in New Zealand where you're likely to see kiwi birds in the wild, but also the kiwi birds are actually out in the daytime because they're actually nocturnal birds, but in Stewart Island they seem to hang about until midday. So, but the really good thing about Ulva Island, if you're traveling with family, is that the walking trails around the island are super short. There's lots of different options, and they're all really easy. It's mostly flat trails, so you can achieve it easily with all ages, basically, as long as you can't take a stroller on there or anything, but if you have a baby backpack, if you've got infants, then that's usually easy enough to go on. Otherwise, ages 8 to 10 can easily walk the trails as well.
Yes, and if I was to give you a tip for Ulva Island, because that's hands down our favorite things to do with kids in Stewart Island, for sure, right? So I think that, Arthur, when you're going to go to Stewart Island, you've got to go to Ulva Island. But if I want to give you a tip, I would say just kind of brief your kids a little bit before you go there. Explain to them that you're going to want to see birds. So you're going to, they're going to need to be a little quiet. So the more quiet, the less you're going to scare the birds. So just kind of tell them, explain them kind of like what the game of kind of bird watching is, which is kind of like stay quiet and you get to get super close to the birds.
Yeah.
And you will, honestly, if you literally just simply walk, you don't even have to kind of walk kind of skittishly. You walk normally, but you stay quiet, you will be within arm length of birds.
Yeah.
And that's what's really amazing about it. So, yeah.
Cool. Good tip.
So, yeah, that's definitely one of our favorite things to do in Stewart Island. Number 2, there is a beach called Bathing Beach, which is really not hard to go to.
Yeah, so Stewart Island has loads of really amazing beaches, but one of the sort of most picturesque ones that's really nice to go with family, and that is also closest to Oban, which is the main or only town of Stewart Island, is Bathing Beach. And to get there, it's only about a 10-minute walk. It is a little bit uphill to get up the cliffs and around back down to Bathing Beach, but 8 and 10-year-old can definitely achieve that. And yeah, it's just a quick walk, which we do have details exactly on the directions on this article that we mentioned, the 10 things to do in Stewart Island with kids, which is there's a link below apparently. So yeah, and yeah, it's very easy to get to. And once you get there, you have a beautiful golden sand beach, and the water is like super clear, super turquoise. It makes you feel like you're on some sort of like tropical island, despite it actually being classed as a sub-Antarctic island. So although the water is a little bit nippy, and it might be nice to just go for a little bit of a paddle, but probably not a full-on swim. But it's a good place to go and do whatever you like to do at the beach, whether it's build sandcastles, go for a stroll, or go for a paddle.
And Damien, right here on the live chat, stated that Stewart Island is really underappreciated place in New Zealand, and he doesn't know why. I know why. It's because it's just a little too south, a little too far for people, but it's absolutely wonderful to visit, and we advise everybody to get there. All right, number 3, there is some family-friendly walks on Stewart Island around the town of Auburn, and there is the Fuchsia Walk and the rakiora Reserve.
Yeah, so the Fuchsia Walk is really easy to access from Auburn town centre itself. It's just sort of a little bit toward the back of the town, which is very small. It will be very easy to get to. And this takes you through beautiful fuchsia forest before getting to a reserve, which is kind of like it's a bit of like a grassy area. And then on the other side of this grassy area, you go into some native forest. And that's a really good place to actually go and see more birds as well. If you're just, there's a lot of birds on Stewart Island. And a bird you'll see often on the island is a kaka, which is quite a large, they call it a bush parrot. So it's like a large parrot. That's what they say. And yeah, it's a large parrot, and it's quite cheeky. They're not usually afraid of humans. They'll come down and say hello and probably peck a few things, like try and peck your backpacks or anything. So, but that's a really...
And if you drop your sandwich, it's gone.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes.
So, so it's the Fuchsia Walk and what was the name of the second one?
Rakiora Reserve Track.
The Rakiora Reserve Track, which actually, that track takes you to a beach, which you can either return back the same way, or you can follow the roads back to Auburn, so you can do a bit of a loop there. And don't worry, the roads aren't busy whatsoever, so they actually do feel like walking trails.
All right, so number 4 on our list, if you can afford, something a little bit more expensive, it's a scenic cruise. There are quite a lot of options for scenic cruises around Stewart Island, or around and in Stewart Island almost. Yeah,
so there's actually quite a lot, lot of options when it comes to cruises, and it's not like big boats. They're usually quite small, like small sort of speed boats. A couple of companies that we can mention is Rakiora Charters. There's Rakiora Adventures, but there's really a ton to choose from, and it's good to do a bit of homework to see which one's the best for you. But there's lots of different options. They can take you on scenic cruises to see large seabirds like albatross, or they can take you to historic places like where a whaler's station used to be, for instance, or they can take you down freshwater river, which we do have a video on when we did our coast to coast walk on Stewart Island. We do have videos on the channel of a lot of the activities that we're mentioning. So you can go check that out. And the freshwater river is a river that changes with the tide, so that's really interesting to see. And also there's an evening cruise where you can take your own food and drink as well. So if you want to have a more relaxing cruise where it's quite this is one of the larger boats and the kids can run around on the boat as well. That's with Rakiora Adventures. There's that option too.
Yes. And one of the good things about Stewart Island, from my experience, that the waters don't tend to be too choppy around there. So especially if you do the one, obviously in the river, the water's not too choppy. So that should be good for most of the kids.
Yeah, so that's closer to Stewart Island, but that's not mentioning the ferry journey.
No, the ferry journey is different. Yeah, the ferry journey can get choppy. All right, so speaking of tours, so we've just talked about, cruise tours. There are also some driving tours, some driven tours. Someone will drive you around and show you some points of interest. So if you basically want the kids to be entertained by someone else than you, there is that option too.
Yeah, so there are land tours as well, which will take you around the small road network that's around Stewart Island, and they'll take you to interesting natural sites. They'll take you to historical sites as well, and they usually last about 2 hours. So it's a good option to do if you're going to Stewart Island just for the day, just taking the ferry there and the ferry back later on in the day, and you want to do sort of a quick activity. That's a really good option. Or if it's raining, because it's New Zealand, the rain comes and goes. But if you happen to be in Stewart Island when the weather's not so good, and you don't want to be walking out in the rain, then these driving tours are a really good option. We do have a list on the website of all the different driving tours that there are, but there are really quite a lot. So it's a good idea to check out the link below to our article on the 10 things to do in Stewart Island with kids, and I'll have all the details down there.
All right, so speaking of rainy day, if you want something, a good rainy day activity for kids in Stewart Island, or if you want something a bit more educational, there is a museum on Stewart Island.
There is, yes, the Rakiora Museum. They've actually just done a new building for it, so it's quite a modern building that does stand out in the town of Oban. But in there, you get to see a whole bunch of relics and learn loads of different stories about the island, which has had a history of all sorts of different types of industries, and also they have different traditions on the island, like mutton birding and that sort of thing, and fishing, and also it tells you a lot about the flora and fauna of the island as well. So yeah, it's a good place to go. It's quite cheap to get in. I think it's around $10 for adults and cheaper for children. I think it might be even free for children. Not 100% sure, but we do have those details on the article as well. But that's also a good rainy day activity to just sort of have a quick look around and do something that's quite quiet. Yeah.
Here you go. So there is about 6 or 7 things to do with kids in Stewart Island. There is much more in the link below, which is a link to the 10 things to do with kids in Stewart Island. It's on nzpocketguide.com. If you find this useful, make sure to hit like. It's a great way for you to freely for free reward all our hard work, not even freely, because I'm forcing you to do that. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe as well. And yeah, plenty of other videos on the channel, so check us out.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the live chat.